Okay, we're going to talk about building a character with the Roll20 Charactermancer and leveling that character up. So step one is to log into Roll20. The two browsers that seem to have the best performance are Chrome and Firefox. Sometimes it's a good idea to keep both browsers up to date on your computer because depending on how good or bad a weekly update goes, one browser can sometimes work better than the other. Some users have had more success using Chrome browser in incognito mode rather than standard mode, so that is something to keep in mind. Roll20 at first glance doesn't seem like it's going to require you to have a really great computer, but the bigger maps with lots of assets and music and animated texture layers and all sorts of other crazy stuff can actually start to bog down your system. So, as with most things computers, the better the computer, the better the performance. Anywho, log into Roll20. Go to the game. If it is one of my games, there should be an API script installed that automatically generates a character sheet for you. If you do not have a character sheet, let me know. I'll make one for you, and you can continue these steps. So, here's my character sheet. It's got my name on it. I'm going to click on it. And you can see that everything is blank. If I click on character sheet, a little pop-up will appear and it will say, do you want to create this character? I'm going to say yes, use the Charactermancer. When I mouse over, it turns red, little hand appears, I click on it. That allows me to jump into Charactermancer. Now, Charactermancer can be very, very simple or very, very good, depending on how much money has been spent unlocking Roll20 content. If you are playing in one of my games, all of my games are linked to my compendium, which has all the published stuff unlocked. So you should have a pretty robust selection of things to choose from when you're building your character. The only thing that we are currently missing is spells from the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, which is like Booming Blade and Green Flame Blade. So basically two spells that almost everybody likes to take. The reason for that is unknown, but mostly because they never bothered to release a Roll20 version of that book. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get started. The first thing we need to do is take a look at it. It says, hey, we're going to help you build a character step by step. Hit next. That's what we're going to do. Alright, right off the bat, we get to choose our race. Now, you can jump around here. So if you don't know your race right away and you want to do other stuff first, you could totally do that. If you wanted to get your ability score sorted out first, you could totally do that. You can jump back and forth throughout this entire process. So a lot of people at level 1, they know what class they want to be. So let's start with class first. So I'm going to click on class, and I have decided that I want to make a let's say a bard, because that has a little bit of everything. So I'm going to go ahead and select bard. So you can see it's linked to the entry in the player's handbook, which is pretty cool. I don't have to open the player's handbook. I don't even have to have D&D Beyond opened in a second window. I can go down and read all about bard, and I can even see what's coming, what stuff I can look forward to, all that good stuff. As I keep scrolling down, I can see more and more and more and more information. Pretty neat. Okay, so right off the bat, it's telling me what my weapon proficiencies are, my armor proficiencies, and it says I could choose some skill proficiencies, some tool proficiencies, and it also mentions that I'm going to have spells, cantrips, bardic inspiration, ritual casting, and the starting equipment that it is planning to give me. So all that is just taken care of right off the bat. Now, I could dive in here and select my skills and tool proficiencies, but a lot of people prefer to save that for later when they have chosen their background. So, because keep in mind that you will get sometimes skills and proficiencies from your race, and you will always get some skills, proficiencies, and languages from your background. So, saving the decision of your skills, proficiencies, and tools for later in the character creation process is often very beneficial. Alright, so we know that a bard needs to have charisma, but we're building a character for fun. It doesn't have to have the best possible stats. D&D is not all about min-maxing. That being said, we can go over to race now, and we think to ourselves, what would be a pretty cool race to play alongside Bard? So if you look, there's a lot of options here. Yeah, we have almost every. Well, I think we do have everything, even the Aasimar, and I believe we might even have the winged tiefling. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff here. So as you make your way through, you have to sort of decide, what am I going to make here? What am I going to make? A lot of people like to zero in on that variant human, get that bonus feat, and because it's the best. But again, if you're not min-maxing and you just want to enjoy yourself, you just kind of pick whatever. In this instance, it might be fun to do a Dragonborn Bard. So I'm going to go ahead and select a Dragonborn. And right off the bat, I can see that I'm going to have a bonus to my Charisma and a bonus to my Strength. As I scroll down, it does give me the choice of alignment. I want to be a good guy, but, I don't want to follow the rules, so I will pick Chaotic Good, which, believe it or not, is the most popular alignment in a recent survey. Down here, I have to make a choice. What kind of Dragonborn do I want to be? Well, there's a lot of different ones. Lore-wise, it might be fun to go with Copper or Bronze. They are both very gregarious types of dragons. They're also good, and they enjoy a good story, and in the Copper Dragon's instance, a good prank. So I'm going to go with Copper Dragon. So that lets me know right away that I have resistance to acid, I get a breath weapon, and I have these languages. So there you go. That was pretty simple. So now I'm going to jump over to my background. So I am a Dragonborn Bard. What am I going to do with that? Well, if I want to play to my strengths, I might go Valor or maybe Sword Bard. That might be kind of cool. So I might ask myself, like, all right, well, if you're a Sword Bard, maybe you're kind of like you got like a swashbuckling thing going on. Maybe you're a sailor or a pirate. Maybe you're a smuggler. That'd be kind of cool. So what did my character do before they were an adventurer? What was the life that they lived before they got thrown into a life of adventure? This is where that background comes in. So I'm going to say that, yeah, my guy used to be a smuggler. There we go. And as a smuggler, I get access to athletics and deception. I also get proficiency with water vehicles. And I scroll down and I see that I have this ability called Down Low. You are acquainted with Network of Smugglers, blah, 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 blah. Always be sure to remind your DM about your background ability, because some of them can be extremely useful and can circumvent skill challenges and that sort of thing. And they also add a lot of fun to the game and to your background. All right, so this particular background wants me to choose an accomplishment. So I could have a D6 handy and roll for it, or I could just select one. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna try to go with this good guy thing, this hero despite the odds. So I'm gonna choose Gold-Hearted. So I agreed to transport a family escaping from the war. The baby cried at a checkpoint. I gave the guards all my gold to let them pass, and the family never found out about the gesture. Now I'm broke as a joke, and I got to start adventuring to make back my fortune. The other smugglers also found out about it, and now they think I'm soft. So, I had to leave that life behind. You can also click to roll, by the way. You don't have to have a die handy. So for personality traits, you could always roll to see what you get. Here it says, I'm no common criminal, I'm a mastermind. If I like that, that's cool. Otherwise, I could go in and choose one. And I believe you always have the option to edit this afterwards. So if you're like, none of these personality traits are cool, when you finish the character sheet altogether, you can always go in here and do that. I like the idea of this guy being really gregarious, so but I also want to play up that dragon angle. So I'm going to say that he loves gold, but he won't cheat a friend. And I'll say that he never stops smiling. Onto ideal, this is the thing that should your character is always working towards, is the ideal. So if you're ever lost for role playing, you can like look at your ideal and understand like, yeah, this is what I need to do. So obviously this guy gave it all up to help people, and maybe he's decided to use those skills for good now. So if I, again, want to go with that goody-goody angle, I might go with peace and prosperity. I smuggle only to achieve a greater goal that benefits the community. Bond, this is the thing that kind of keeps your character grounded a little bit. So what is the thing that he really wants? How about this? Let's see. Yeah, there you go. This goes right with the accomplishment. He gave most of his profits to charitable cause. He does like to brag about it. So that is sort of where he's at. And maybe that altruism has become infectious, and he just can't stop giving away his wealth and doing things to help other people. Flaw, these are always fun. Again, you could always roll randomly. And then, yeah, okay, maybe he's trying to be a good guy, but at the end of the day, like, he still has a bad habit of always kind of putting things into terms of profit and loss. That one actually sounds kind of fun, and like it would be a neat challenge to roleplay, trying to be this friendly, good guy, but yet at the same time, you're always kind of have your mind in business, in numbers. So that could be pretty cool. All right, so we got background figured out. We got race figured out. Let's go ahead and jump on over to class, where we will now go and select our remaining skills and proficiencies. Now, Bard is pretty exciting because you have access to everything. But we can see now that we went ahead and did background and race. Whatever one's background and race gave us will be grayed out so that we won't accidentally choose them twice, which is pretty handy. So I think if we want to be a good smuggler, we definitely, deception and athletics are great, but maybe performance, right? So that we can pretend to be somebody we're not, which is deception, but sometimes your DM might ask you for a performance instead if it's a more elaborate ruse. Persuasion would be good. Maybe convince people to let you past a checkpoint or whatever. And then insight. This will help you figure out if your lies and persuasions are landing well or not. Maybe help you figure out like the next move to get past a border patrol or a dock inspection team. So tool proficiency. This is for bards. They are oddly specific, but in the game, generally it kind of breaks it down more into like wind instruments, percussion instruments, things like that. So, I'm just going to pick a handful. So I'll pick a drum for percussion, and maybe I'll pick a lute for stringed, and then I'll pick flute for wind. There we go. All right, so that's all taken care of. Now, we got to go to our abilities. Over here on the abilities tab, you have to choose the method that you're going to use. All of my games use point buy. You can also use standard array, but I do not allow roll for stats. Some games allow roll for stats. I don't allow roll for stats in my games. So we're going to do point buy. And here with point buy, it's really easy to do. It's all laid out for you. Keep in mind that we do get a +1 charisma and a +2 strength. So we definitely want to have a good charisma to start the game. Charisma is going to fuel all of our bardic abilities. So we're going to drop a 15 in that right away. Bam, that'll be a 16. Next up, we want to be a good smuggler, so we can't be too dumb. So let's make sure that intelligence and wisdom are at least pegged at a 10. Do we want to go with sword bard or valor bard? We may want to have a good strength, right? So let's at least put a 10 in that, which will bump up to a 12. And let's see. We'll just set everything at 10 and see how many points we have left. All right. We have 8 points left. If we're going to be up front, we probably want some dexterity to help us with our initiatives and our armor class and whatnot. So we could try bumping that up here. And you're probably going to want to beef up those HP a little bit. So we could do that. It says we got 4 points left. How beefy do we want this boy to be? Want to be a real beefy boy? Or do we maybe want to have a nice spread across all of our stats and abilities? I kind of feel like maybe this smuggling Dragonborn Bard might really embrace that jack of all trades. So I'm going to go ahead and give him 12 in everything. So he's got 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, and a 6. Cool. Next step is we go on over to our equipment. So here you can choose starting wealth, which can be a little bit of a chore, and you have to go and buy all of your stuff individually, or you could choose class equipment. If you choose class equipment, it's just like the player's handbook. It's going to walk you through the steps. I think this guy is probably going to want rapier. Yeah, that sounds good. So let's give him that. And then let's see, does he have a diplomat's pack or an entertainer's pack? Yeah, we'll go with the diplomat's pack because he is pretty good at bamboozling people. And then we get to choose one magical instrument, so maybe we'll keep it traditional and go with a lute. And then we also get this equipment from our background, which is some extra clothes, a leather pouch, fancy leather vest, or fancy leather boots. Oh, tough choice. He's a Dragonborn. He doesn't like boots. So let's go the Han Solo route and take a fancy vest. Sweet. Now we move on to feats. So over here in feats, this is where we would add our spells. And you can see right here, all them spells are ready for you. If I go to cantrips, I can scroll down and check them out. Who doesn't like to hurt people's feelings till they die? So let's go ahead and take Vicious Mockery. And it jumps up here and tells us, hey, this is what Vicious Mockery does. And let's maybe go with a useful one. Dragonborn can't see in the dark. It's one of the innumerable things that frustrates people about them. So let's go ahead and make sure this guy can always see where he's going. So we will select the light cantrip. Now we get to do some spells. If you want to be the guy or girl that everybody turns to in the time of need, take Healing Word. It's the best healing spell in the game, hands down. Ranged bonus action, saves the day constantly. Honestly, the best spell in the whole game. Now he's a smuggler, so he probably wants Identify so that he can, make sure that the goods he's delivering are actually what people say they are. Not a bad idea. Maybe he wants Disguise Self so that he can disguise himself as a different person if he needs to. It's pretty cool. And you know what? Maybe Comprehend Languages might be fun because this way he can understand the meaning of any spoken language he hears or written language. Now, he isn't able to speak them, but he could at least tell, if he's in like a foreign port, what people are saying and how things are going. Alright, we go on to feat. At first level, the only person that should have a feat, I believe, is variant human. So we can just leave that blank for now. And it'll ask you if you want to fill out your bio. We certainly can. So we're going to call this guy... let's see, what would we call him? The best thing you could do is open up your browser and go to type in random fantasy name generator, and it's going to take you to the fantasy name generator site, and it's going to give you an amazing name. But I think we'll just call this guy Petrov. There we go. That's a good name. Alright, and let's see. You can look up racial here. It already skips to it so that you have this information. How old are Dragonborn? They reached adulthood at 15. They lived about 80, so, put in that information. We'll say that he's 19. He was an adult by 15. He's been a smuggler for 4 years. How big are these boys? Oh, they're pretty beefy, so we'll go with that trope. We'll say that he is 6 feet tall. And, yeah, he's a beef boy, so we'll say he's 220 pounds. And then we could fill out all this other stuff. He has no skin, so we'll just... he has skin, obviously. Copper scales. Sorry, he has no hair. So we might just put something like, black horns. That'd be cool. And then for eyes, we're going to say bright green. Sounds good. All right, now we can review our character. And here it'll say all this good stuff that you need. You get max hit points at first level, suggested all your abilities, recaps your race, all that jazz. When we are happy with what we have done, we hit apply changes. And the magic loading bar begins to fill up. And when it is done, we have a fully populated character sheet. It's pretty cool. It has done all sorts of work for us. It tells us our abilities. We can hit this little word box, and it throws the ability up there. So if the DM's like, hey, throw that ability up in the chat, you can do that. It filled up your inventory for you. The only frustrating thing about this is anytime you get like a big pack of equipment, it just tells you this is the pack, and it doesn't actually show you the contents of the pack. That's a little annoying. Your weird proficiencies, like weapons and armor, are over here in the bottom left. Above those are your other weird proficiencies, like tools and instruments and things like that. Over here, above that, are your skills, as you can see. Saving throws above that, proficiency above that, a little box you can toggle on and off for inspiration. Your stats are over here on the left. Your modifier is the big number. Your stat is the small number. We've got the character's name. They got their class and level, their background, their race, their alignment, armor class, initiative, speed. If somebody asks you to roll initiative, what you would do is select your miniature in-game. So if this was my guy, I would select this, and then I would hit the initiative button, and then it would appear over here on the initiative tracker. So that's how you roll initiative. This is your speed. Remember, every space is 5 feet, so 30 feet I can move 6 spaces. Here's my HP. HP can go up and down accordingly. A box to track your temporary HP, which is pretty cool. You've got an area for your hit dice. If you take a short rest and need to use hit dice, you just click that, and it automatically rolls your hit dice for you, which is pretty cool. You mark it down. Here's a place to track your successes and failures if you're playing the Am I Going to Die minigame, always a favorite in 5th edition. Here it shows you a resource tracker and gives you one automatically for Bardic Inspiration, which is pretty cool. It's got your personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws up here to remind you what they are. Any of your attack spells or combat-related stuff, it went ahead and created macros for you. So Vicious Mockery, it reminds you what the DC is. It tells you what the damage is. Very, very handy. Underneath that, if I wanted to cast Healing Word, it would say, well, what level are you casting it at? And that would be cool because it'll scale the spell depending on what level I cast the spell at. So if I cast it at 3rd level, it would add those extra dice there. And all of this stuff got created automatically for me. I didn't have to punch it in manually. I didn't have to do anything crazy. I just used the Charactermancer and it built it for me. If I make attacks with my rapier, there they go. Depending on your Roll20 game, you should have double dice automatically enabled. The dice on the left-hand side is your normal roll. The dice on your right-hand side is if you are using advantage or disadvantage. So that is a big time saver, and depending on the settings for your game, it might automatically roll damage for you to save time as well. Alright, pretty cool. Down here is where it tracks money. This character is apparently starting completely broke, which kind of fits with our background story. Yeah, what else do we got? If we click on the Bio tab, there's an area where you could put a description of your character, their backstory, any treasure that you're tracking individually that you know is more complicated than you could fit in this inventory section right here. Your allies and organizations, additional features and traits. So this is kind of a scratch sheet that you can use for all sorts of stuff. You will see that there's a spell tab. If you have spells, this is where your spells are going to be. You can cast spells from this page, just like you can cast them from your shortcuts over here. So if I wanted to cast Identify, I could just click identify over here, and it throws the spell up there so that everybody can see it and be reminded of what it does. Now keep in mind, I can't cast it at first level because I don't have a material spell component, but hey, at least I know the spell. So that's pretty cool. Now, what if it's time to level up? We've been playing Petrov for a while, and we want to level him up. Here we go. We received a 301 experience points. We hit enter, and look at that. Oh my goodness, a little button appeared. This is the level up button. So when this level up button is here, you click it, and it opens up the Charactermancer again. And it says, hey, we're going to level up your character. Let's do this thing. Buy Roll20 products. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and hit levels. And right away, it says, do you want to keep being a bard? I think you should. But it also gives you the option down here to multi-class. So if I selected multi-class, it would create a new class area, and then I could choose an available class from this list, and assuming that I meet the requirements for it, I could level into that class instead. Pretty neat. Multi-classing is a little advanced, so for this example, we're just going to stick with Bard. So by default, it says you're already level 1 Bard. We're going to add another level. It's going to make you level 2. I gave you average hit points. You might be feeling spicy and decide to roll for hit points. If you click roll for hit points, it should lock in those HP. I believe once you hit that roll button, you are stuck with whatever you got. So just keep that in mind. Generally, playing it safe, I feel, is the way to go, but who knows for sure. Alright, underneath that, it tells you these are the new features you're going to get. Jack of all trades, the Song of Rest, pretty cool. And then it reminds you, hey, later on, you will be getting a subclass at level 3. And then you can even click here. Let's see, subclass features. Apparently, it's not going to show us any because we don't have any available yet. Alright. So then I'm going to click on features, and it's going to say this is what you got as sort of a reminder. There's no opportunity for skill increase or feats, so ASI feats is not available because it's not level 4 yet. I click on spells, and it says, hey, you didn't learn any new cantrips, but you can learn one more first level spell, and you can also replace one spell. So maybe I'm playing the game and we've got like a wizard and an artificer, and it's like they both are identifying everything and I don't need to. So I could uncheck this one and then I could learn a different one instead. So you know what, I decide, hey, you know what would be good? If I could start putting guards to sleep. So I take the sleep spell instead. And then I can do a new spell as well. So I say, hey, you know what would be good is if I could... Yeah, if I could have a little unseen servant to help me, that would be useful. And there we go. I just leveled up. That's all I had to do. I go to review. It says this is what you look like before. This is what you look like afterwards. Apply those changes. And you're done. Your character has leveled up to 2. Charactermancer is absolutely phenomenal. So, what if Petrov is playing the game and he finds a new item? The GM is like, hey, you found a new weapon. It's a longsword. Go ahead and add it to your character sheet. I'm like, all right, cool. I go to the compendium tab up here. It should be a like gray circle with a white eye in it, because I stands for compendium, I guess. And then in the search field, I type in long, and I look for longsword. And then I say, is this a magic longsword? And it just so happens that it is. So I would click and drag longsword +1 over to my character sheet. And it crunches some numbers and magically creates a longsword +1 macro for me. Pretty cool. So, compendium is amazing. If I come over here and the GM says, you know what, everybody should get a feat at first level. I say, what? That's amazing. I'm going to have Petrov take the actor feat. So I go ahead and I type in actor feat, and actor comes up. I could left click and drag that over, and it'll say, I will automatically add this for you, man. And I scroll down, and the actor feat has been added. Now, you will notice that my charisma score didn't increase, so I do need to manually go in there and change that. But I didn't have to retype this entire thing. It came in nice and formatted, and I just do this, and I share it with everybody, and it's good stuff. So again, a very powerful tool. a very powerful tool. Hopefully, this video has explained Charactermancer, why it is useful, why it works well with the compendium, why having a robust compendium makes the tool even better, and why you definitely want to be using this and not punching in your spells one by one. Please, please, please use the Charactermancer for your characters. All right. Hopefully you have a great game next time. Talk to you later.